The great debate: faith versus science. Science, through observation and experimentation, strives to unravel the universe's intricate mechanisms. Religion, rooted in faith and ancient texts, offers explanations for our existence, purpose and moral compass. But what happens when these two powerful forces of human understanding clash? Chapter 1. The Age of the Earth. A timeless debate. Our planet, a swirling sphere of molten rock and delicate ecosystems, is billions of years old, 4.5 billion to be precise. Yet a literal interpretation of the Bible's book of Genesis suggests a significantly younger Earth, approximately 6,000 years old. This discrepancy has fueled a fierce debate, with proponents of young Earth creationism pointing to what they consider flaws in scientific dating methods. They argue that a global flood, as described in the Bible, could have drastically altered the Earth's geological features. However, the scientific community maintains that the evidence for an ancient Earth is overwhelming. They point to the consistency of multiple dating methods and the discovery of fossils dating back millions of years. Some find harmony in metaphorical interpretations of Genesis, viewing the creation story as a poetic representation of God's power.
Check, check. Check 1, check 2, check, check.
Chapter 2. Evolution versus creation, the origins of life. The theory of evolution posits that life on Earth arose from a single common ancestor and diversified over billions of years through natural selection. This scientific explanation stands in contrast to the creation account in the book of Genesis, which describes God creating each species individually. Proponents of creationism often point to perceived gaps in the fossil record or the complexity of biological systems as evidence against evolution. Some argue for intelligent design, the idea that certain features of living organisms are too complex to have arisen through natural processes. Scientists maintain that evolution is the only scientifically valid explanation for the diversity of life on Earth. They point to overwhelming evidence from fossils, genetics, and comparative anatomy. This debate extends beyond science, often spilling into education, law, and public policy. It raises profound questions about our place in the universe and how we interpret evidence. Chapter 3. The Global Flood Fact or Myth. The story of a great flood is a powerful narrative found across various cultures and religions. The Bible's book of Genesis recounts the story of Noah's Ark, a vessel built to survive a catastrophic flood sent by God. Geologists, however, find little evidence to support a global flood of this magnitude. The Earth's geological record shows evidence of localized floods throughout history. The scientific community points to several inconsistencies between the biblical account and geological evidence. For instance, a global flood of the magnitude described in Genesis would have required an impossible amount of water. Additionally, the geological record shows a continuous layering of sediment over millions of years. Some proponents of a global flood point to geological formations like the Grand Canyon as evidence. However, geologists explain the Grand Canyon's formation through the gradual process of erosion by the Colorado River over millions of years. Chapter 4. Adam and Eve versus human evolution, decoding our origins. The book of Genesis introduces us to Adam and Eve, the first man and woman, fashioned by God. However, the scientific understanding of human origins paints a different picture, one of gradual evolution over millions of years. Paleoanthropologists have traced the lineage of Homo sapiens back to earlier hominid species. Genetic studies reveal remarkable similarities between the DNA of humans and other primates, particularly chimpanzees. The concept of a single ancestral couple, Adam and Eve, is difficult to reconcile with the genetic evidence. Some argue for a harmonization, proposing that Adam and Eve were symbolic figures representing the first humans to possess a soul. Chapter 5. Miracles versus natural laws, the limits of understanding. Science operates under the premise of natural laws, consistent observable principles that govern the universe. Miracles, by definition, seem to defy these laws. Events like the parting of the Red Sea or Jesus walking on water challenge our understanding of the natural world. This tension lies at the heart of the debate between science and religion. Science seeks to explain the universe through natural processes, relying on empirical evidence. Religion, often rooted in faith, accepts the possibility of events that transcend natural laws. Some argue that miracles are simply events beyond our current scientific understanding. Others maintain that miracles are not meant to be explained scientifically. They argue that miracles belong to the realm of faith, serving as testaments to the power of God. The debate over miracles often hinges on the interpretation of evidence. The intersection of science and faith is a complex and often contentious terrain. It's a landscape where seemingly opposing forces collide, sparking debate. Some see these two realms as inherently incompatible. Others see the potential for harmony, a beautiful tapestry woven from the threads of scientific inquiry and spiritual belief. Some see conflict, others see harmony, science explaining the how, faith explaining the why. What do you think? Can science and faith coexist? Comment below, like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to see more.